Imagine this. What if someone claimed to possess all the knowledge in the world, yet still couldn't find inner peace? Would that person truly be wise? Does reading thousands of books make someone truly intelligent? Or is real wisdom something far deeper? Today's story is about a famous scholar who had spent his entire life studying sacred scriptures. Kings honored him. Great scholars feared debating him. He believed there was no one left in the world who could teach him anything new. But one day, he met Gautama Buddha, and a simple cup of tea changed the direction of his entire life. This isn't just the story of one scholar. It's the story of all of us. Because many times, our minds become like an already full cup, with no room left for new ideas, new understanding, or true wisdom. So, let's begin. Long ago, near the kingdom of Magadha, there stood a prosperous city. In that city lived a renowned scholar whose name was known throughout the land. He had spent decades studying the Vedas, the Upanishads, philosophy, astronomy, politics, and countless sacred texts. Wherever intellectual debates were held, people assumed he would be the victor before the discussion even began. Over the years, admiration slowly planted the seed of pride in his heart. Instead of sharing knowledge with humility, he began using it to prove his superiority. Anyone who disagreed with him was dismissed as ignorant. Even his students believed every word he spoke was absolute truth. One evening, a group of travelers stopped at his monastery to rest. As they shared dinner, they kept mentioning the same name, Buddha. One traveler said, "I've met many learned men in my life, but I've never seen anyone as peaceful and compassionate as Buddha." Another added, "People don't simply return with answers after meeting him. They return as completely different human beings." A third traveler smiled and said, "Buddha doesn't defeat people, he gently dissolves the ego that lives inside them." Hearing these words, the scholar's expression changed. He thought to himself, "Could there really be someone wiser than me?" That night he couldn't sleep. The question echoed through his mind again and again. Finally, before dawn, he made a decision. "I will meet this Buddha myself. If he truly possesses greater wisdom, I want to know what he knows that I do not." Before sunrise, he began his journey. Little did he realize, he wasn't merely traveling through a forest. He was beginning a journey from pride to humility. Morning sunlight filtered through the tall trees of the forest. Birds sang beautiful melodies. A cool breeze gently moved the leaves, filling the entire forest with peace. After many hours of walking, the scholar finally arrived at Buddha's monastery. The moment he stepped inside, he sensed something unusual. There was no noise. No one was trying to impress anyone. No one spoke loudly. Some disciples watered plants. Others cared for injured birds. Some sat quietly in meditation. Every face reflected a peace that words could never fully describe. The scholar wondered, what kind of place is this? How can these people be so happy without wealth or recognition? But only a moment later, his pride returned. "Peace is fine," he thought. "But surely I possess far greater knowledge." Under a great banyan tree sat Gautama Buddha. His eyes radiated kindness. His smile carried neither pride nor expectation. It felt as though he understood everything without anyone speaking a word. The scholar bowed politely, yet inside, he had come not with humility, but with a challenge. Buddha welcomed him warmly. "Please, sit down. You must be tired from your journey." The scholar sat but quickly began speaking. "I have devoted my entire life to studying the Vedas, philosophy, and sacred scriptures. I have debated scholars across many kingdoms. No one has ever defeated me." Without pausing, he continued, "People say your wisdom changes lives. So I have come to discover what knowledge you possess that I do not." The disciples remained silent. Buddha listened patiently without interrupting. When the scholar finally finished, Buddha simply asked, "Your journey must have been long. Were you tired?" The scholar looked surprised. He expected a profound philosophical discussion. Instead, Buddha asked about his well-being. "Yes," the scholar replied. "But I came here for wisdom, not for rest." Buddha smiled gently. Turning to one of his disciples, he said, "My son, please bring 2 clay cups and some fresh hot tea." The disciple quietly left. The scholar thought, "I came here seeking wisdom, and he wants to serve me tea." He considered it a complete waste of time. But he had no idea that within moments, a simple cup of tea would become the greatest teacher of his life. Soon the disciple returned carrying a small clay teapot filled with freshly brewed tea. He placed 2 plain clay cups before Buddha and quietly stepped back. Silence settled over the monastery. Only the wind and the songs of birds could be heard. Buddha slowly lifted the teapot. He began pouring tea into the scholar's cup. The cup gradually filled. Soon it reached the very top. But Buddha did not stop. Tea overflowed onto the saucer, then onto the ground. The scholar watched in disbelief. Finally he cried out, "Master, please stop. The cup is already full. Not another drop can fit inside. Everything else will simply spill over." Buddha gently placed the teapot down. Looking into the scholar's eyes, he softly asked, "How do you know the cup is full?" The scholar answered immediately, "Because it is obvious. Once a cup is full, nothing more can enter it." Buddha nodded. "You are absolutely right." Then he pointed toward the overflowing cup. The same is true of the human mind. When the mind is already full of pride, opinions, assumptions, and the belief that it knows everything, there is no room left for truth. The scholar fell silent. Buddha continued, "You did not come here to learn. You came here to prove that you already know. And a mind like that cannot receive wisdom." Those words pierced the scholar's heart. For the first time in many years, his pride began to crack. He realized Buddha wasn't answering his questions. He was revealing the condition of his heart. Buddha picked up a dry leaf lying nearby. Holding it in his hand, he said, "This leaf remained alive only while it stayed connected to the tree. The moment it believed it no longer needed its source, it began to wither." Then Buddha looked directly into the scholar's eyes. The day a person stops learning, that is the day growth comes to an end. And the one who believes he knows everything has already become trapped in the deepest ignorance. The scholar lowered his head. His arguments disappeared. His scriptures offered no answers. Only silence remained. A deep silence filled the monastery. The breeze continued to move gently through the banyan tree. But the greatest change was taking place inside the scholar. He remembered every moment he had ignored advice, every person he had mocked, every student whose questions he had dismissed, every truth he had rejected simply to protect his ego. Tears slowly filled his eyes. He bowed before Buddha and said, "Master, today I finally understand. I spent my life collecting knowledge, but I never gained wisdom. I read countless books, but I never learned to understand myself. I tried to defeat others, yet I never defeated my own ego. If you will accept me, please allow me to become a student once again." Buddha gently placed a hand on his shoulder. The day a person sincerely accepts their mistakes, that is the day they begin a new life. Making mistakes is not the problem. Refusing to recognize them is. Then Buddha pointed toward a nearby river. "Do you know why a river always remains fresh?" The scholar quietly shook his head. "Because it never stops flowing. The moment water becomes stagnant, it begins to decay. The human mind is no different. Those who continue learning remain alive within. Those who believe they are complete stop growing." As the sun slowly set behind the trees, the scholar took a deep breath. It felt as though a heavy burden had finally been lifted from his heart. He left the monastery without a new book, without a new scripture, but with an entirely new way of seeing life. From that day forward, he listened more than he spoke. He sought understanding instead of victory. People no longer admired him simply for his knowledge. They admired him for his humility. Years later, when his students asked, "Master, who was the greatest teacher of your life?" he smiled and answered, "A simple clay cup, because it taught me that a full cup can never receive more. But an empty one can always be filled." Moral of the story: the lesson of this story is not only for that scholar. It is for every one of us. The moment we believe we know everything, we close the door to growth. But the moment we humbly say, "I still have much to learn," a new journey begins. Always remember, ego closes the mind, humility opens it to infinite wisdom. So keep your cup a little empty, because life is always ready to fill it with something new. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Daily Wisdom, and join us for more timeless stories inspired by the wisdom of Buddha.